Right then, welcome back to the preview. United are back in action. 8 o'clock kickoff Saturday night against Sheffield United. Make sure you're tuning in for that one. This preview, as all of my previews, is brought to you by the guys at Parimatch UK. And if you want to check out the bet that I've got a little bit later on, then check the bottom of the screen and you can see when that bet is going to be, as with any of the chapters, if you want to skip straight to them. Now, let's get into it. Real football is back after the pointless international game, and it's obviously going to make for an interesting watch because of United's topsy-turvy form in the Premier League. And it's going to be interesting to see which team has benefited the most from there being no Premier League action, as there have been some players return from injury and all that sort of stuff. United do come into it on the shot last minute McTominay masterclass against Brentford. Does he keep his place? I think it's going to depend on injuries is the truthful answer to this. But yeah, we'll get into that in a second. Sheffield United are having a bit of an awful time. They've lost 4 of their last 5 and drew the other. So that means that they're probably going to beat United come Saturday night, but hopefully that's not going to be the case. They should be a team that we turn over and don't even remotely struggle against. But we know that that's not how the Premier League works, and we know that's not how United work. In our last 5 games for Sheffield United, dating back to late January 21, from late January 21 to January 2016, we've won 3, drawn 1, and just lost the 1, making it a fixture that we've been pretty good at, actually, overall, but not flawless. Now, how they play. They've had a change in culture. People might remember how tactically interesting Sheffield United were when they last played in the Premier League under Chris Wilder, with the innovative use of overlapping centre halves. It was pushing centre halves forward to create an overload in central midfield, and that was a surprise to a lot of teams. And they had a genuine mix of risk and reward, and especially at home, they actually played with a hell of a lot of risk. And you do like to see that in the top flight from a newly promoted side. Alas, it wasn't enough. They did go back down, and nowadays, under Paul Heckingbottom, things are playing out a little bit differently, and there is a bit more of a focus on tightness and playing off the counter before springing forward and being effective in the transition. Since coming back to the Premier League, once again, we have seen Sheffield United look to low block more than ever. And it's a stark difference to how they played last year in the Championship, where they pressed high and they seemed to overwhelm teams. Just as they did under Chris Wilder, though, they operate in a 3-5-2 formation with the wide central defenders encouraged to push on and join with selected attacks. Doesn't happen often because they are quite deep, but you do see them go and do it. They rarely deviate away from that as a first-choice style of play, and they've lined up with a back 3 in 45 of 46 games in the Championship last year, using a front 2 in 37 of those. So sometimes they go, essentially it's a 5-3-2. Sometimes it looks like a 3-5-1-1, depending on who it is that they use. Wing-backs can join the back line, or they can be pushed up into midfield. As they go up the pitch, the formation stays quite rigidly in a 3-5-2, although it does occasionally get turned into a 3-3-4 if both fullbacks push up and get on into the final third, which does happen, but I wouldn't expect to see too much of it against United. Now, that change in philosophy could be a massive factor for why Sheffield United have really struggled this season. And it's one of the reasons why I sort of predicted Burnley to go down at the start of the season, because I didn't think Burnley were going to be able to replicate the way that they play. And Vincent Kompany has gone completely against what was successful for him in the Championship. And even though I think they've gone completely against it, I think they're better equipped to do that than Sheffield United are. And they've gone away from it and tried to play off the counter, which I think was the right thing for them to do. But it's almost as if the players don't quite know how to play it, certainly aren't as comfortable in playing it as well. Against Newcastle, that unfamiliarity was completely exposed. They lost 8-0. And every single goal just seemed to pick up and highlight a team that looked lost, looked devoid of all sorts of confidence, and they were completely outplayed. I can't imagine they took many positives from that 90 minutes. And they're bad. They are leaking goals left, right, and centre. In the last 5 games, they've conceded 17, which has obviously been skewed by that Newcastle game. But even still, that's awful, even without the 8 goals just in that game alone. Without sugarcoating it, Sheffield United should be a team that Manchester United beat. In terms of the star man, I think Gustavo Hamer is probably the one that could make a difference. He seems to be the only one that's making a good impression early on in the season. He joined from Coventry in August, and he's a player that was regarded as Coventry's midfield orchestrator. He is confident, he's aggressive, he's a tenacious box-to-box player, but he was a player you signed for the Championship rather than the Premier League, in my opinion. He is quick to the tackle. He's been called a destroyer because he's a bit of a bully in the central midfield. And he's their top scorer with 2. In the 2-1 defeat to Tottenham, he did score a fantastic left-footed volley. And he is one to watch in the game because he could punish us, especially with runs from deep. United have been really poor at covering the check back to the edge of the D. So I think if Hamer operates in there and they do manage to push those fullbacks high and wide, get something back across the box, him lurking around the D could be something that really hurts United. In terms of my United 11, like I said, United are actually starting to get some selection opportunities. Now, I believe, at the time of recording, I don't know any different, Varane, Amrabat and Reguilon should be back for this game, is what Physio Room says. They should all be back for this game. Varane, 2 weeks ago, they said the last game came just a bit too soon for him. So I would expect Varane to come back into the team at the very least. Now, I've gone with Dalot, Lindelof, Varane and Reguilon. If Reguilon's not quite ready, you could see Amrabat going back to left back, especially with the way that I'm expecting the game to go against Sheffield United. You can make a case for McTominay to play over Casemiro in this, especially because of the goal threat that he will get if you do decide to start pumping things into the box. Not to say Casemiro's not a goal threat because, well, he's a goal threat. So I think you might see McTominay over Casemiro if Casemiro just needs a rest. But the lineup I'm going for: Onana, Dalot, Lindelof, Varane, Reguilon, Casemiro, Amrabat, Mount on the right, Bruno down the middle, Rashford down on the left, and Højlund, assuming he's fit, because my heart can't take him not being fit after what happened against San Marino. But Højlund, I would say Højlund is absolutely refreshing to be. He's the star man for United, right? He's the match winner. And it's refreshing to see him named as our match winner again. He is the man I am identifying as our match winner in this game. And he's got 3 and 7, which isn't exactly setting the world alight. But I think he will get his first Premier League goal this weekend against Sheffield United. He has shown himself to be quick. He has shown himself to have a full toolbox of things that he can do on the pitch. And I think he will get a goal this weekend against Sheffield United. And as I said at the start of the show, this preview is brought to you by Parimatch UK. And I've got an exclusive bet boost for you that you can't get anywhere else. These are my bets for the game this weekend. I am going very, very straightforward, very, very simple. United to win, over 3.5 goals, Højlund to score. Why am I going United to win? Because honestly, United should be winning, okay? United should just quite simply be winning this game. Over 3.5 match goals. I don't see United keeping a clean sheet in this one. I think we're going to really try and go for it. And I can smell 3-1, which is why I've gone for over 3.5 goals. And Højlund score, for the reasons that I've just pointed out. I think Højlund is a massive threat for Manchester United, and I expect him to start being the guy that delivers goals for us. That bet has been boosted from 31 to 10 to 7 to 2. And if you want to get involved, all you got to do is check the link in the description. And prices are subject to fluctuation and availability. You do need to be 18 plus to participate. We know football, and especially United, are completely unpredictable. So it's just a bit of a fun enhancer for your enjoyment of the game and not a promise of winning. For help, for more information on responsible gaming, please visit begambleaware.org. Once again, this bet is exclusive to me and Parimatch UK. Click the link in the description below to get involved. And I'd like to know, even if you're not getting involved, what you guys think the score will be at this point. And then how do we beat them? Right, this is where it gets interesting for me. Manchester United abuse the space. One thing that Newcastle did fantastically well against them was utilise space really well. Whether it was on set pieces or it was during open play, Newcastle kept finding areas that were just a little bit too far. They didn't have a man in them, and they exploited the space that was found. I think Bruno Fernandes could be a real key here because his tendency to sort of roam and just isolate himself in pockets and his ability to lose his man could really cause a lot of problems for Sheffield United's structure. Hopefully opens up a little bit of a room for people to run forward and into. And if that works out, I think goals could come in numbers against Sheffield United. Secondly, I think you've got to overrun them and get a good start. And I think the start of the game will be very important. I can see an early goal coming. Shut the crowd up because the crowd's going to obviously want to be trying to overturn United. It's cup final when United come to town. So you shut the crowd up, you get an early goal, you're in control, and then you can start to dictate the tempo. And when things are balanced out for both sides, I think United can overrun them while we are still growing into the game. But that early goal will be very key for us to do that. And don't give away anything stupid. I think it will be really important for us in this game. As a team that's been recently promoted, they're going to be looking to set plays for goals. If we're sensible, we don't make any stupid mistakes, that could be a real nice and simple run for us to go and get a little bit of confidence and get some 3 points. In terms of wrapping it up, I think it's another must-win game for United, as it feels like every single game is, and it'll definitely not be easy for us, but you get a win here and it can start a new run for us and give us a bit of optimism for the football that we want to see. I really hope we can do it just to make it a nice, easy run out and a game with no dramas whatsoever. They're not a great side and they're not playing like a great side at the moment. United need to start remembering who the fuck we are and get the club back on track. But that's how I see it going. You guys let me know in the comments. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.